Hello and good evening for this Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023. We just finished watching the 10th episode of Survivor, episode 44, titled Full Tilt Boogie. It's kind of a state of mind. We're just getting started here on Super Mater Brothers Podcasting, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch, or you might be listening on the audio version. I'm Dave Mater, and I'm joined with Josh Hat-Trick Foster tonight to break down this episode, referencing our ball hockey game last night and Foster's impressive hat trick. How are you doing tonight, Foster?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well, David. It's good to be back. First of all, I'm for everyone seeing Dave's beard is better than mine. Whoever's watching, I got mine kind of chopped off. I needed I needed a haircut, needed a beard trim. Went a little too short, but that's okay.
I'm winning the beard war.
Yes, you do, Dave. You impressed. You dressed to impress, if you will. You look distinguished, if you will, or classy, if you may.
I'm 40 now. I gotta, look the part, right?
Well, you do look very dapper, if you will. So, anyways, let's stop kidding ourselves here. And it was a lot's happened in the last 2 weeks.
Yes, that's right. And referencing you, we've been without you for the last at least 3 episodes, maybe 2 or 3 episodes. So you and I are catching up on Survivor, as you've been unable to make the podcast for the last couple of episodes, mostly for these jury votes. Starting, I think, with Matt B, and then Brandon, and then Kane last week, and then we got Franny added as the 4th juror tonight.
Yeah, it was those 3, right? And it was interesting because when first of all with Matt, he got isolated. Like it was just like the worst part of it was just the worst draw, and they targeted him because they were afraid that if they kept going, Soka would remain strong as a 6, right, or a 5, whatever it was, and 5. And Matt was just put in a bad situation, right, because he was under the cover of Franny, right? Who I think that if he stuck around, Franny would have gone tonight, and Matt would have still been around, right? Because he would have been protected up to this point, right? He wouldn't have been seen as a threat. He was seen as a threat because he was a number to Soka, right? When he got voted out.
Yes. You're talking about Matt B, yes, when he was voted out. Yeah, he got it, because they did that whole split, and then he didn't bring his bag with him, so he didn't even have his shot in the dark to play. And basically, Brandon and a few of the Rat 2 group that was kind of in the majority on that 5 got him out in that particular vote.
Yeah, and then then you brought it up going with Brandon. It was first of all, I'm surprised he lasted that long. You don't, when you're that big and you're that physical and strong and stuff, right? And very, like you can do endurance challenges and stuff as well, right? It's a bit, you literally are a big target, right? And so it was interesting because he, especially with his having a professional career, right? You don't see players like that typically go super far. Unless they have the really good social game to do it, right? And Brandon was just kind of like an alpha leader, and because he, leading the Ratu group, right? And he, but at the end of the day, he was just like he was the leader, and he got targeted and voted out, right? So, and then with last week was Kane was last week. Brutal collateral damage of Brandon being voted out. He was just like the next to go.
Yeah, well, he didn't even know it was coming, even though the whole episode was about how he wasn't betrayed, he wasn't backstabbed, he was woken up, and then he got woken up right into the jury, as they kind of blindsided him in that one as well, with the use of the idols. And I thought when Kane went, I was like, okay, well now that Soka, or sorry, no, Ratu rather. The original Ratu just consists of Lauren and Jaemeel. And I was like, I don't know how well these 2 will do on their own. However,
How is Lauren still in the game? I don't understand.
How is Jaemeel still in this game? Is what I'm also kind of trying
Yeah,
to figure out.
okay. Well, at least she tries and challenges. I'm sorry.
But this whole thing tonight, this whole episode with Jamie Lynn and her, like, my idol went out with Kane, right? Which is kind of true, even though it was a fake idol, but she didn't know that because the other Matt gave her.
Does she have a real idol though? I don't understand.
No.
What happened to that one?
She never had a real one. She only ever had a fake one, which she thought was real. Because back on Ratu, there was Matthew, the other Matt.
Yeah, he hid that. I remember behind the well or whatever.
Right. And so he gave it to Jamie. And so Jamie has had this idol from Matt, the other Matt.
But she had a real one and a fake one at one point.
She had like an extra vote or something, but I don't think she had a real immunity idol.
Oh, I was okay.
Pretty sure that's the case. So yes, and so she gave her fake idol to Kane, and he did walk out with it. But we seen this episode that she's like, I couldn't keep this secret anymore. I just had to tell everybody, and then everybody thinks it's a lie. They're like, this is
my goodness, it's so funny. She just completely backfires on her right away, and it's just like the expression.
She's like, the truth will set you free. I'm like, this is like the worst thing you could have done.
Yeah.
You know, I'm surprised you didn't get voted out just for this. Because no one, like, yeah, people are going to speculate if you have an idol or not, but people expect you're not going to come clean about that and trying to sell even this. She's telling the truth from her perspective, right? And nobody buys it. So it's
no, it was funny. It was her heart was in the right place, I will say, but it was just like not like you don't do that on Survivor, right? You know, you don't make it blatantly because once again you have to understand when you say something like that, and especially when you try to emphasize it more than once, it's definitely not perceived the way you're coming across, right? For at least a few or many of the people, right? Because it's not like you have nothing to show for it, right? It's just words.
Exactly. Yeah. I forgot my cameras.
But yeah, no. So, but yeah, no. What about this reward challenge though? They started off really quick, right? With the reward challenge.
We have a lot to kind of break down in this episode. Let's go to the reward challenge and talk about that. Here, let's bring in our visuals. Maybe take down the banner here. And yeah, this there was in the pouring rain. So this was an episode where we get a reward challenge and an immunity challenge. And a lot of episodes they seem to combine these. But maybe now that there's fewer players, they are giving us both in the same episode. Because I didn't even know this was just for a reward. I thought it was for both until sort of at the end of it when I realized.
They said it was for reward at the beginning, and I loved it. Right, I loved because it was right at the beginning of the episode. They pretty much had a few conversations, and they went right into the reward challenge, right?
Right.
And I liked it. I liked the fact that it was a reward challenge. I did not like this challenge because we've seen this exact same thing before, same setup.
I think we've seen this immunity challenge as well, or some variation of this immunity challenge as well. I like the fact that Carson ripped through that star puzzle in the immunity challenge as fast as he did. He's practiced this before. He knows this puzzle. Did you like them having to do like the spinny thing and like get all dizzy and whatever?
Once again, I like it. But I like it the first time, right? Like I don't like.
You want some innovation in these challenges?
Yeah, like I don't. Once again, like I'm not asking for much. I'm just saying, like if I can say that it's something I've seen pretty much exactly the same setup, if not the same, then that's concerning, right? Because you've done how many seasons, and I've seen this before, right? It's like you got to branch out a little bit. Where's the water challenge, right? Where's that stuff, right? You got to get closer to the beach, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just, I don't know. I like the fact that there was a reward challenge, but I didn't like the challenge.
Yeah, like I find I'm starting to get a little numb to these challenges because they're so generic to me, and they do repeat them, or they maybe mix up one aspect of these challenges compared to other shows like Big Brother, and I'm sure like the Challenge. I think that's their whole thing. Their whole show is about challenges, right?
Well,
So
the big thing with the challenge is like 50% of their challenges are like site or location based, right?
okay,
So like they'll go to like a heights challenge at a building. They'll like on the top of a skyscraper, right? They'll go to a body of water or a lake or something like that, right? Because they go obviously different countries, right? So
okay. So it's
they
like Fear Factor. They do these more
not
like these big
necessarily
stunts.
fear factor. It's because there's not really that the fear of pressure of like when I think of fear factor, I think of like animals and stuff, right? Like being with snakes, being with
Oh,
spiders, like that kind of
yes, there
fear.
there was
That kind of
that,
fear.
but there was a
That
lot
kind
of
of fear.
stunts in that show. The only reason I brought up was because sometimes they would go like, "We're gonna jump off a building," or "We're gonna do this thing," or "We're gonna," like sometimes
Yeah.
like the final challenges for Fear Factor were locations as well.
Oh no, yeah, and you can definitely compare the two for sure. I'm just not as familiar with Fear Factor's history, if you will, right? But it sounds about right though, right? Which is which makes sense, right? But yeah, but with the only thing that's relevant is like eating challenges, right? That they do that very rarely now in the challenge.
Hmm.
They'll do the which you don't see that on Survivor or Big Brother. Well, Big Brother
No,
you
they
have
don't do that anymore in
Big Brother they
Survivor.
have slop, but that's more like a punishment. And Survivor obviously you eat like crap anyway, so or you don't eat much to begin with. So
Yeah, I think what I mean in Survivor, you're maybe you might not want to eat a gross spider or whatever, but it's still food, so you might not be that bad for it. Um, Yeah, and I don't know why they've moved away from those kinds of things. Yeah, I get that the challenge was kind of whatever. It was interesting to me that they were in the heavy rain. It made the balance beam a little tougher. Um, Here, Franny ripped through this course like pretty impressively. Danny was also going pretty hard. You can tell. I think he wanted to vote out Franny in this episode just so he would maybe win immunity because he's lost a couple, or he's not even just immunity, but other challenges to Franny, despite the fact that he should be aligned with her. He saved her with an immunity idol like 2 or 3 episodes ago.
yeah, I
Uh,
don't understand that play at all. Like I don't understand why he would do that because even though it worked, he just got rid of her, right? So it was just like Danny is very much he's kind of like he's a lone wolf, right? Like he's
yes,
very much just
he's playing more an individualistic game.
yeah, he's
Absolutely.
doing very much his own thing, but he's also kind of like trying to like over and we see it with the next episode preview at the end, but like we talk about it, what he says where he's like he wants to like oversee or control or do something or something like that, right? Not oversee or control, sorry, but he wants to do things, right? He wants to be like a leader, not a follower, right?
Yes.
Um, but Danny, I'm surprised has not. If Danny had won one or two of those immunity challenges from Franny, um, then I think that he would have been a bigger target by now, right? He would be
Yes.
talked about more.
It's
But
actually been good for his game. You're
it's
right.
weird why he's flying under the radar, and also because he used the immunity idol on Franny and it worked, right? That's rarely seen.
Yeah. No, it's interesting you bring that point up because I think that you're right. I think Danny probably would have been a bigger threat by now. And I think he would have been voted out by now. If but because he has been the runner up in a lot of these immunities, um, losing to women like Franny and Lauren and a couple others, that he hasn't had his moment. But I think that's the thing is that he doesn't need to. I think with Danny, he kind of reminds me a little bit of in Big Brother Canada right now, season 11, which we're also watching and covering on this channel. There's Ty on that season, and Ty is giving me Danny vibes in the sense that they're kind of individualistic. They're not really playing with a big alliance or anything. Like they're kind of just,
They're great
taking it
talkers too, right?
right.
They're very good with their words, right? And I think with Danny, with what the way that he's kind of goes about things is like when he talks to people, it's not like indecisive. It's like here's what we're doing, here's what I want to do, right?
Right.
And then he kind of steers the conversation. Well, he listens to what was being said because he's very good at that, right? He's very good at taking the information, just like once again, relative to what you said, Ty. Big Brother. He listens. I know. Okay, Sam. I know. He's my.
I don't
number
like him
one
either.
pick.
I don't like him either, Sam. But
Okay, Sam. Tune back tomorrow, Sam, because I'll be there tomorrow. We'll talk about we can talk about the tie tomorrow because even though he's my number one pick, I got things. I don't. Oh, we'll catch up.
We'll break all that down on the
Yeah.
Big Brother Canada podcast tomorrow. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. But
sorry, but with Danny though, you're right. He could have been eliminated.
Right. Sam was also sad to see Franny go. He was just starting to like her. I was just starting to dislike her, so that's interesting. Yeah, so she wins this challenge, and then okay, what about her choice here and the people she chose to take on the reward? You know, we've seen this so many times. Somebody who wins a reward and gets to take people on the reward is the person who ultimately gets voted out in that very same episode.
Well, it's once again like it's well, is that true? Like, is that like do people get eliminated typically? Whoever they bring out.
I've seen it more times than I can remember now. I feel like yes, it does happen. I think it's also because people who win challenges are bigger targets. It's that factor. We also see here that Franny chooses to take Carolyn, Heidi, and Lauren on the reward. And you know, on the rationale that they're moms, she picks Carolyn first because Carolyn apparently very much missing her son, and so she takes up the three moms with her. You know, and we see Jam's pretty pissed off by the whole thing back at camp. You know, he was like, "I wanted an empanada. What the hell?" You know, and I was like, "Well, maybe you should win the challenge then, Jam. If you really wanted to control it." But he was, yeah. You see, like. You see this whole thing where picking people. They were obviously they're starving, and
she had great reasoning. Like in my opinion, like you chose the mothers because of the cards and all that, right? And like once again, like the logic was there in the sense in terms of like why she picked it was Carolyn, Lauren, and Heidi.
Right.
But you're right though. Like it did put a target on her back. Like it's interesting because typically what you see them choose their alliance members, right? But once again, like Heidi, and we'll get to it later. But what Jamie was saying about there's no alliances in this new era, right? It's always shifting the game.
That's what Jamie says. Yes. And they like that sound clip.
It's relevant to. It's not like this new era Survivor. Sorry, Dave, to clarify, it's more like this season is what it is like, right? Because there hasn't been a very stable, strong. More other than Carolyn and Jam and Carson, there hasn't been a really stable like maybe Danny and Heidi. I don't really know who else.
Now that I can think of here, but I think that Lauren, despite the fact that she took Lauren on this reward, Lauren still voted Franny out tonight.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, but Carolyn dug her heels in and she says, no, she just gave me this amazing reward. I'm not voting out this vote, and that seemed to be why Carolyn got left out of this tribal vote. She ends up voting for Heidi along with, who else voted for Heidi? Franny did as well. So Franny and Carolyn voted together.
Who voted for Danny?
Heidi had the one vote on Danny.
What?
I don't. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like Heidi was just one vote on Danny. Like the fact that, like, we know Carolyn wants to get out Danny, and you think, like, why wouldn't they vote together? But they couldn't seem to get on the same page. And that's kind of what happened here, in this episode. Okay, just wanted to also touch upon like when we get sometimes these vignettes on the different Survivor players. In this one, we got a little bit more deep dive into Lauren and her background, her backstory. She was a divorced mom of two, put herself through school, got her master's, became a teacher, but comes from sort of humble roots, if you will. What did you think of her segment tonight?
It was good. Like, she's once again, like you're seeing a lot in this episode, the different side of the personal level, right? And I understand they do the backstories a lot, but it's it was a really good feel good story at the beginning of this episode, right? Just because of the connections that they made. But with Lauren as well, as a person, she seems very genuine. She seems very hardworking. She seems very loving and caring, right? So, like, she seems like a great person. But at the end of the day, like, I don't, from a Survivor standpoint, I don't like her, right? I still remember the challenge sit outs. And even she set up like quickly for the rice a couple weeks ago or last week. And it's like it's not even like I don't understand the gameplay. I really don't respect. I don't respect the gameplay, to be honest.
Well, that's fair enough. Yeah, like I wouldn't say she's my favorite personality on this season, but like she's a personality.
Yeah, and once again, she's not. She's once again the person. She's great. Like she seems like I would love to talk to her, meet her, right? Like she's she seems but in the game, I just don't like.
Right. What about this other discussion here at the reward where they're like Carolyn pushing hard? Let's vote out Danny. Can we vote out Danny yet? And she's like saying to Heidi, and Heidi's been aligned with Danny, and so has Franny. Like Franny was saved by that immunity idol that Danny played on her, but they're all kind of like talking about it, but it never seems to really become a thing. And despite the fact that Danny keeps being a runner-up in challenges, despite the fact that Danny seems to be running a lot of these votes, he was kind of pushing here for Franny to go out in this one. And so I thought like the fact that this whole episode too, like the only people who got votes, Franny, Danny, Heidi in this episode are all original Soka Green Tribe, right? They came from, so despite the fact that they were now up in numbers, Kane was voted out last episode. Now there are 3 Sokas. There's only 2 Ratus. Ahsoka, it seemed like inevitable that Ahsoka was going to get voted out in this episode. And if Franny and Danny and Heidi could have stuck true and together, yes, like Ratu and Tika can vote them out if they, 5 against 3. But I think that because the Tika 3, Carolyn, Jam Jam, and Carson are so clearly not on the same page in terms of their priorities on who they want to get out when. And that's good. And we see a little bit in the preview for next week that's going to be maybe a new source of friction for Tika moving forward.
Yeah, they've been like the last few weeks, they've been in the power position in like a swing vote position, right?
Right.
And it's been interesting to see. Like I will mention about the Carson like being sick and he powering, or like he sat out for the rice, right, with the rice one. Yep. But he did play for the other one, right? Like he's he is tough, right? Like he's proven that. Like he looked like he was really sick, so shout out to him on that. But yeah, no, they're not on the same page. And with it's interesting because Jam Jam was targeted for a while, right? And now he's like under the radar, just like he's kind of like just a floater, right?
Well, is he though? Is he like now a floater, or are him and Carolyn and Carson now a power trio in this final ending?
I don't. Well, you like? I don't know. It seemed to me like this episode they were not as on the same page as like they should be.
Well, Jam Jam and Carson seem like they are, but Carolyn had different ideas.
Yes, Carolyn had different ideas because she really liked Franny, right?
She liked Franny. Franny gave her the reward, and so Carolyn, coming from the perspective, like, let's not vote out Franny this vote. We can get her out at some other point. Let's get out Danny now. And Carson and Jam Jam are like, no, we would rather do something else.
I didn't understand. Why why Franny was such a big I don't understand why it was Franny over Danny is what I'm trying to say.
I think just because Franny's won more challenges, she's shown that she can kind of she can be clutch and she can win it, and it scares them. Plus, I think Franny is also smart. I think they saw her.
You know what it was? I just realized. They said it a couple times tonight, right? Is they said a couple times that Franny's a big fan of the show, right? So it seems to me like that, and on Big Brother as well. I find it as well is that if you're a very vocal hardcore fan or whatever you want to call it, right? Like, I'm trying to think of the term, but anyways, then it seems like that's part of you being a target.
Wait, Carson has that.
I know, but I don't know, but they don't show it that way, right? They don't talk about it that way, right? Like Carson hasn't been. I'm sure Carson has not been vocal. Or no, he did. He did announce, didn't he, about the puzzles?
Yeah, that he had practiced this puzzle at home. I think it was the tree one, right?
Yes, yeah.
That he did, and he helped his team win that particular event. And in this one, like he wasn't the first to get to the puzzle, but it seemed like he was very familiar with this star puzzle. I've seen this puzzle before. I don't know if I would know how to solve it, but I haven't really, put time into trying to figure that out. Oh, he's coming in a little late, but here he is. Another Mater brother. Yes?
No.
Not really.
At all?
Well, a little.
Yeah, a little now.
How about now?
Better.
You would test it.
Test.
That's better.
It's better.
All right.
There you go.
Yeah. Jeff, you got any hot takes on this episode?
Yes. Everybody is so soft on this season. And everybody's having a good time and loving the rain. The season's making me sick. I want to see conflict.
They love pooping in the ocean, Jeff.
This happens a lot, and then I hate. At least it wasn't a family visit, but I don't like the family stuff. Boo hoo! You know, you've been gone for like how long? Really? Like
19 days.
Yeah, is that?
I thought they did it closer to the end.
They usually do, but like I don't know. Like
when it was a longer season, I got it more. Now I'm like, I don't totally get it. Like, if you see people after a month, I can kind of understand it more. But it's been like 2.5 weeks. Like, I think it's just not enough time.
I just think it's all BS. They all play it up for the cameras, and yes, you miss your loved ones or whatever. But at the same time, I mean, for me, I would keep that more close to my chest. I wouldn't want to like bear that in front of everybody. Like I feel like most people would be that way. So I do feel like there's a bit of like fakeness to it. So it always bugs me. But anyway.
Well, because like, do you want to be on the show? Like, imagine you're on the show and like you get something from Amanda and you're like, cool. And she would lose her mind if you were like, I love Amanda so much. She's the best wife ever. If you don't give that, you don't sell that, like you're getting in trouble.
Yeah, but that's the problem.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows that. And then it comes across like it's genuine, but it's also disingenuous in a way, because it's not like authentic the same way because it's you're putting on a show, so it's always been like that.
But even the part in this episode, like Carolyn's like, man, my son hates writing. This is the most he's probably ever written. And she shows like 4 sentences or something in a picture.
Just hate they all sit around, they all cry together. It's just like not intriguing television wise. And I don't mind them giving them those things, but do we need to like fill a whole like half episode of it? Like can we not just like, quick 2 minutes, move on?
It's worse when they're actually there and then they come out
Jeff give him a big hug.
Give him a big hug. Here comes your brother. Here comes your neighbor Jim. You
haven't seen him in 3 weeks. It's been a lifetime.
Yeah, like it's a little much for me. Okay, let's. We were just getting to the part of the episode we were talking about the immunity challenge. Foster, did you say you did like this challenge or no?
The immunity challenge I liked, but to be quite honest, before we get into it, this could have been the reward challenge. Just trim it down a little bit, like maybe like only do 1 hill or something like that. But this could have been a reward challenge.
I thought the immunity challenge, it should have been reversed. This should have been the reward challenge, and the other one should have been the immunity challenge. The other one was cooler. It was like it was in the rain. It was more dramatic.
No, but you can't predict the rain though, Jim.
No, I know. I'm not arguing that point.
I get what you're saying in terms of like it's showmanship, right? Like it just shows better, right?
From a TV perspective, yeah.
But
did you talk about Franny's choices and how stupid they were.
Well, we
I was saying from a personal level, like it made sense, right? Because she's choosing like the mothers and all that. Like I get that, right? But from a game level, I was saying to Dave, I was just like, why isn't like there's no alliance that she's really in? Like she can't pick anybody from her alliance to go with her.
Was Heidi in her alliance?
No, the only thing she did was she kept Heidi away from Danny and Jam and stuff and Carson. But that's exactly who she should have taken on reward with her. She should have taken Danny, Jam, Carson.
Taking the guys.
She should. Yes, she should have done the opposite because the girls were not going to vote as a block with her. That was a dumb plan, to save her if she didn't win immunity. She had to go right to the power and go right to Danny and make a deal with Danny.
Why is Danny the power though?
Because look, he's using Heidi as a vote block. And then he's getting 2 votes on somebody automatically every vote.
He told Heidi this episode, I don't even need your vote. I don't even need you.
I know, but that's what he's playing a good game as far as using votes. Like Jamie Lynn is a train wreck of a player.
Oh yeah, so bad. But like, why would you even bother getting her out? Like
because she's a great vote for whoever can manipulate her, right?
Right.
And who's manipulating her best right now? I don't know. Nobody really likes her.
No one really. She told this story about her fake idol and how Kane, which she thought was real, and Kane left the game with it, and nobody believed it. Nobody.
No, not only did they not believe it, they thought she was lying on purpose about the fact that she still had an idol.
Right. Yeah. Like, so it couldn't even gone any worse for her in terms of like how she was like, it feels so good to tell the truth.
Good to who? Yourself, I guess, but like at this, like it's stupid. Like it's just dumb gameplay. Like really, really novice stuff. Like nobody cares about your feelings. That's what drives me nuts about Survivor is they talk all about their feelings and what the right thing to do is and what's good. And then somebody does quote unquote that and they never buy it. And they always, they always look at that person like they're a shyster. Mm-hmm. And it's hilarious to me, not one person was like, oh, maybe she's telling the truth here, because like have they not hung out with this girl though? Like she's very like kind of oblivious, Well,
Lauren especially. Did Lauren also say she didn't believe the story?
Yeah, they all didn't believe it, because and I think that grew like a virus. I think Danny
was the first one who didn't believe her.
Yeah,
and then everyone's like, well, okay, yeah, maybe not, Danny, and because who knows?
Yeah, sometimes I think when you tell somebody something, whether it's a lie or the truth, who you tell it to first really matters. I think,
and who you talk once people compare notes about. Yeah, what did you think of that? What did you think of that? And someone says, oh, I thought it was fine. You might also think it was fine, or vice versa. You might think it's a lie. Someone else thinks it's a lie.
And what did she gain from telling anybody this?
She felt she acted like she had this huge weight on her chest about it. Like I don't really understand it. Like what she gained. I didn't think nobody really knew she had anything. Of course people suspect or speculate, but like
nobody respects her game. Like she's like one of the most self-unaware players I've seen in a long time.
It was so bad tonight because she tells everyone at Tribal the same story. Listen, Kane left with my idol, and then they look at Kane, and Kane gives nothing. He gives no reaction. Even
there's
though
also and there's also everyone around her is rolling their eyes, like everybody. Right. Does she not like look over and go, and see that? Like, how can you be that non-observing of everyone around you? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know how you could be that bad.
Hold up, is that Jeff Mader?
Yes, hold up.
Not on hold up, but
I will be one day.
And we'll talk about Franny not playing her shot. I don't think Franny thought she was going. But we'll go with this. Back to the challenge, guys. Foster, did you like that they had to crawl like little worms with their hands tied and their feet tied together?
Yeah, I liked it. Like once again, like I liked this challenge. I really did. I like the aspects of just the difficulty of it. I thought the rope pull, and like this right here was really difficult. It seemed like the pull was really easy, except for Carolyn. The mounds were really tough. It looked like, unless you got the hang of it. It seemed like Danny flew through this whole thing, though.
Right. Yeah. I just wanted to see if I get the. Danny did for some reason. Yeah, you had to carry this thing, and Carolyn was like cracking me up. Just her like, who tied these knots? What is this? Like,
Oh my goodness, she was freaking out. Like she just couldn't get it right. Like she's so bad at challenges that it just keeps her off the radar for everyone.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why she's the ultimate sleeper here. You know that like no one sees her coming, but she can totally win this game. And I don't think like even Carson or Jam really understand this. Yeah.
No.
Who, Carolyn?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I think they know that she's liked, and like they definitely picked up on the fact that Franny and her were bonding.
Right, but they're like, we'll just vote Franny out, and then we can't.
Well, yes, but they're not. They're definitely observing that there's a bond there. Now, Franny would definitely probably give a vote to Carolyn, and then who she got? She's got Matt on the jury, so boom, there's 2 votes for Carolyn if she makes the final 2 right away.
Probably, yeah. Like, because I think Matt will do whatever Franny tells him to do.
So, and they're not dumb guys. Carson and Jam are smart, and they will cut Carolyn at the end if they don't think they can get the votes.
I hope she cuts them.
Well, I don't know if that's going to happen because I don't know who's she aligned with other than those 2 guys. She would have to win fire, basically.
Yeah, like not without those 2 guys. I don't think she really has anyone in particular. I want to see like Danny ripping through this course. If we can see here. He was just so fast. It was like, he must do a worm challenge or something.
No, he's a firefighter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so those guys, they have to do like courses like this for their job. Like,
is that why he's so good at this?
Oh yeah, I mean he's going to be good at any kind of like endurance marathon competition type thing, because that's what firefighters have to be. It's their job. They have to be that. They have to be fit.
Right. Fit, but like this. Like
they will carry equipment up flights of stairs wearing full gear, and they have to do it in a certain amount of time.
But your ability to worm through sand seems like a very specific kind of comp skill.
But like firefighters, they're not. Maybe they don't do the exact training courses that like military people do, but they still have like courses and obstacles. Like, you ever seen the video where it's like the competitive where they run at the wall? And they have the huge ladder, and they got to bring it up on each level and go they climb up the wall. Like it's like Jeff said, like it is a very specific skill set that it seems like it's translating very well in the game.
Although I never saw Jeremy crush competitions like this.
He's a legend, Jeff. We were told in this episode, if you want to be a legend like Jeremy, you got to win challenges.
Jeremy wasn't a legend.
Win challenges?
He did, but not like that. Like, he didn't like beast out challenges or anything.
He was a firefighter.
Yes, that's what I mean. But I think he was like an older firefighter. You know what I mean? Like, kind of like, I don't know how old Danny is, but I would imagine he's like early 30s.
I think he's in his 30s. Danny is 32.
Yeah. So Jeremy, I think, was like in his 40s. So
yes,
when he played.
Jeremy was older, I think, when he played the first time. Yeah. But it didn't matter that Danny got to the puzzle first. He still loses here to Carson, who rips through this puzzle, Jeff.
Yeah, I like that the puzzle was something I'd never seen before.
I think we have seen this before, though.
Oh, really? Have they done this one before?
I feel like Carson already knew how to beat this.
No, if he knew, he would have not screwed up at the end.
He wouldn't have screwed up that one piece.
Yeah.
Even so, he was pretty good.
What would Matt Westphalen have done? Would he have practiced this in his backyard?
Matt, who gave Jamie the fake idol like a million years ago.
Matt, who broke his arm or his shoulder or whatever he did. Matthew.
The Matt that sucks, if Jaemeel was here, would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. But why wouldn't Carson now be considered just as much of a threat as Franny is?
Yeah, you know what? That's a good point. Like, Carson should have maybe said that in a confessional or brought that up, because yeah, he's the target now, is he not? Like it's him and Danny are the two comp beasts.
But
now.
Danny hasn't really won anything.
Yeah, but he will. You know what? He'll win one of these.
He's come close.
Yeah,
many times.
against Franny. Didn't Franny beat
Yeah.
him in a head-to-head twice?
And Lauren beat him once too.
Oh, okay. So you know what I mean? So he's getting to the end. He's just not winning,
Yeah, he always wants to vote out whoever beats him in a comp.
Right.
Right. Like he's here. So that Danny's thinking, I'm coming for you next vote for Carson.
Yeah, Carson's like, yeah, no, that's probably what the hug's for. Yeah.
Yeah. So he gets and then I never thought I'd be winning an immunity. I'm like, once you're on the show, you could win an immunity. All these people always trying to be humble, I guess, is one of my
Yeah,
pet
but it's a
peeves.
humble brag.
It's a humble brag.
It's
yeah.
really a brag. You know?
I never thought I could win an immunity challenge. Really?
It's like, yeah, you did. You practiced.
You practiced.
You know? It's like, what are you talking about? Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish one time someone would say, I practiced for 2 years for this. You know? That would be funny. That would be
I practiced for 2 years. I was expecting to win it, and I did.
and I did, and
So-
I'm the best.
Yeah.
And nobody can vote me out.
Right. I think you can cast somebody who will say something like that, but they never
Oh,
do.
yeah.
I think
Uh,
Matthew said that, didn't he?
He might
not
have, yeah.
quite. Not
He,
quite.
he said something similar to like he practiced and he worked really hard and he trained for this.
Oh, when he had to do like with the ropes and whatever that challenge. He had practiced that particular challenge, and we seen Carson practice that tree puzzle. So we know that more and more Survivor players are practicing things before they even play the game. Because they watch these challenges, they watch for what's going to repeat, especially, that whole throwing the balls up on that we saw in the reward challenge. We've seen that before.
Yep.
I think it was 3 balls. They used to do 3, and
You
that
can practice that all you want. That you'll never recreate the size, the weight of the balls of the platform. Unless
Right.
you get the unless you get it perfect. The dimensions and everything that you're never gonna.
Could you
recreate
practice something like spinning around, getting dizzy, and then having to go down a balance?
that.
beam?
Sure, yes,
And stuff like that. Some of it's just like keeping up until you get there, right? Okay, so just in terms of like the end game of the episode, we see here that there's all this debate. Are we going to go for Heidi? Are we going to go for Franny? Are we going to go for Danny? These all Soka names are thrown out here. They're all the ones for consideration. Now that Ratu's down to 2, it's like it seems like it was going to be a Soka member no matter what. No Tika names are even considered, whether that be Jam or Carolyn. Carson, of course, has immunity. And so it comes down to here, like Jam and Carson have like this decision about they want to get out Franny. They have this discussion here about it could be Franny or it could be Danny, I think is kind of what is, or Jamie, I think is also maybe one option that they're considering too.
Yeah, I think they know that Danny wants to go for Franny, right?
Right.
So they know they have that vote with Heidi basically already.
Right. They think they have 2 more, so there are 2 votes, but they
know
have
4. If they just vote together, they have 4. But the problem is, Carol is going to be pissed.
Right.
Something's not right. People are scared. Franny wins all the immunities. I'm not voting Franny this vote. And they know that probably and are leaving me out.
Well, yeah. This is where I don't agree with Carolyn. Because, what are you doing, Carolyn? To say who cares, which is what she was about to say, is silly. Because she's winning. So she has a target on her back. When she doesn't win, clearly people are going to want to vote her out. Just because you were getting along with her, again, that's another reason to vote her out, especially if you're in alliance with you.
Yeah.
So
which is what Carson
know,
and Jam decide. They're like, well, yeah, obviously we should vote out Franny because if she's getting closer to Franny, then it's no good for us.
So she decides I'm going to go behind their backs and try and create a different alliance.
Put the numbers onto Heidi.
To keep Franny, basically.
Right.
And then she knows she needs Carson for that. And then, she kind of doesn't play her cards well here. And, so
Right.
as much as I like her, it was kind of bad gameplay again, really, really poor, from Carolyn. And I like her, but
Me too.
not great.
I think her strength is her weakness,
Something doesn't make sense.
So she's she's not an orthodox player. She plays an orthodox Survivor game. We saw in the very first testimonial that they showed us in the very first episode, she didn't really understand what she was supposed to say to the camera, you know? And so, but on the other hand, she's not like these are kind of like Survivor basics, like, you know, like you got to work with your alliance members, and sometimes you have to kind of compromise on who
you have to understand other people's motivations. That's like the number one thing I think in Survivor is when you're playing, like she has to understand that Franny's gonna have a target on her back. Okay. People like Carson and Jam are gonna see that she's getting buddy with Franny. Right. And they're going to want to end that. She has, you have to notice that. And then there's two ways out of that. Create a different vote to get out of that, which is what she tries. Doesn't work. Or you find an advantage, or you get someone with like minds to use an advantage on Franny, and then you switch the vote, you turn the vote. But she doesn't go, she's not able to.
Well, she takes Carson and Jam a bit for granted, that she's going to get their votes. But and like, I think that she understood their motivations. Largely why they wanted to get her out and whatever, but she didn't care. She's like, I don't want to do that. And so she was like, if I don't turn my key, then our alliance, our Three Stooges alliance, isn't doing this, right? But she had left Jam out of the vote, previously back on Tika, so it's her inability to sort of like see this coming. We see that she's gonna be mad in the next episode.
It's a bit of arrogance, it's a bit of like, I should get my way here because I want it. And it's like, well, that's exactly why they want to vote her out then, because you feel arrogant enough to be like, well, I just want to keep Franny because I like her, or
she gave me this reward, I don't want to vote her out this vote.
That's
I just don't want to vote out. She takes me for tacos and then I vote her right out. That didn't sit right with Carolyn.
Well, that's fine, and she doesn't have to vote that way, but she can be in the know and not vote that way too.
And she wasn't, though. She was left out of this vote, and she's not happy.
Well, she kind of knew that. Only Franny vote with her, or did someone
only Franny voted for her? Heidi voted for Danny.
Right. So why did Heidi vote for Danny?
That's a good question. Why? It seems because Franny and Carolyn voted for Heidi.
Yeah, but why? Why did Heidi vote for Danny?
Because
why did Heidi vote for Franny?
Because everyone left Heidi out of everything. She was out of the
no. She was told to vote for Heidi. No, wait, yeah,
Franny
herself.
Danny told her to vote for Franny.
She should have known that Franny was the vote, But I guess maybe you're right. Maybe she was left out.
It seems like she was left out. And yeah, like interesting. I'm kind of curious to see what the fallout is after this tribal. What did you think about the only way to play Survivor, Jeff, is full tilt boogie?
I agree with you. That's the only way to play Survivor is full tilt boogie every single second of every single day.
Full tilt boogie.
Okay. Do you know the whole full tilt, where that comes from?
No,
I was confused by that. I don't know where that comes. I don't know.
That comes from season 2 from Cody. Everything was full tilt. I don't know about the boogie part, but the full tilt part is 100% Cody.
Cody who?
Tilt. Cody, who came in second.
Survivor Australia?
Yes.
Not Cody from Survivor 40, 43 or whatever.
No, the guy who came in, he was in All Stars too. He was in Heroes versus Villains.
Yeah, the guy who like fell on his sword and let Tina win.
He's from Texas. Yeah, the guy who fell on his sword, and that's exactly
him.
Yeah.
Is he the one that gave the immunity necklace in the tribal council?
Yeah. He was.
Oh my goodness, I was thinking about him actually the other day because I was like, that's one of the most worst decisions I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, well, yeah, he gave Tina the win. But whatever. Like that's in the past. But that whole saying "full tilt" is his.
It's not a Mike Boogie reference.
Yeah, see, like the boogie part, I don't know where that comes from. Maybe it's from Big Brother. I don't know.
It's a state of mind.
Full tilt boogie is a state of mind.
Oh, there you go.
It's like you could call it Club Condo. You could call it whatever you want. It's just a state of mind.
I feel that I watch it just the way that jury reacted. What the hell is he talking about?
What do you? I think like Probst is like doing shrooms at night or something now because he's just coming in like all introspective.
Yeah, he's the hippie dad. That is like new like shtick. He used to be like the hard ass drilling sergeant, and then he was like a therapist for a while, and now he's like the stone dad. That's like, need a beer, like that's kind of who he is now.
Do you want to talk? You want
Yeah.
pizza under the stars?
Yeah,
You
pizza
know?
under the
Or,
stars.
but sometimes he's like drill instructor Jeff.
You got to dig deep.
But, sometimes he's just sometimes there's these tribals. I think it's because he's just had so many tribals that he just I think he just comes up with shit sometimes and it makes it in the episode. And
I feel like they avoid conflict now on these shows, and they try to make it as copacetic as possible. And nothing mean-spirited at all ever. I think they really changed when the whole Varner thing happened with Zeke. Once that happened, it was like the end of anything like any mean-spirited thing ever happening again.
when Varner outed Zeke,
when that happened.
Yeah.
And so now everything is like copacetic, and everything is like, no, there's not a mean bone in anybody's body anymore watching these tribals, and it's kind of ruining it a little bit for me. It's everybody's happy. Everyone's
it's all too much kumbaya.
It's too much. Like, somebody's getting voted out at this tribal, and when they get voted out, they just go, "Ah, shucks,
You got me."
yeah." Like, nobody's mad.
No, people are
Hugs me.
pretty. I think Danny will be mad when he gets voted out, but if he gets voted out. Yeah, like I thought that this tribal was kind of whatever. I think Franny, I think, was dumb about the two. She didn't really see, I think she kind of knew it was her, and she was almost like not even fighting hard enough to stay in the game.
I think she thought like her girl power plan was gonna work. And then they were like, let's target a girl.
Yeah,
that's stupid. It might have been smarter had they literally said, let's all vote Danny. They could have used Heidi's vote. So you got Franny, and then you get Jaemeel and Lisa is her name, right?
Jamie and Heidi and Lauren.
Sorry. Lauren and Jaemeel. If you got all the girls to vote, you got Carolyn.
They could have easily voted out Danny. I don't understand why they didn't want to.
They had the numbers with the girls, but they didn't.
Oh yeah,
they didn't want to do that. She had 4 of the girls on the reward.
Even without Jam and Carson, I think you could have voted out Danny here.
They had everybody but Jaemeel on, and you go, this is what we're doing.
And we saw Heidi was perfectly willing to vote for Danny. She did. Yeah, she does vote for Danny.
She does vote for Danny. Like, that's what I mean. Carolyn and Franny, they probably just didn't like the way Heidi talked to them during that reward. But, they didn't really have a great pitch.
Well, they thought Heidi made it up when Heidi comes to Franny and to Carolyn and says, yeah, Danny says we're voting out Franny and he doesn't even need my vote. And then Carolyn and Franny are convinced that Heidi is playing them, that she's lying. Again, Jamie and Heidi telling them the truth right to their face. They think it's a lie. And yet other times people are being told a direct lie and they believe it, So people's bullshit detector seems very...
Yeah, right. And why is that? Because these players are not savvy. Why are they not savvy? Because the gameplay, there's no good BS detectors. Because everybody's playing this copacetic kumbaya kind of game a lot of the time. So I get it. It would be hard to tell when people are lying or telling the truth because nobody's really being themselves a lot of the time. Except for Carolyn, yeah. She's probably the one that plays too much with a chip on her, what's the saying, on her
chip on her shoulder,
by the seat of her pants, all the sayings. But Danny's playing that way a little bit too. I think Danny's actually a half decent. That Matt too, they keep showing him, it's just stop it.
Get him and Franny at Ponderosa. It's gonna happen, so that's nice.
Ethiopian food, they're gonna have it.
Have Ethiopian food. Yeah. Anyway,
so the producers are torturing us with that. They keep
Ethiopian food.
But yeah, well, no, when Franny got voted out, right to Matt. And Matt, somebody just shot his dog.
I already saw the Matt exit interview, and I know that Matt and Franny are now a couple in real life. Good for them.
Yeah, good for them. Yeah.
I think that the producer's life. These children now exist because we put Rob and Amber on a season together. You know,
Right.
there's got to be stuff like that. You know.
Well, I think they think, you know, and it's true. In reality TV, people love relationships. You know, 90 Day Fiance is the biggest friggin' show going, and people eat it up. You know, and I don't, and I
Especially
don't
your
like
wife.
those shows. Yes, she loves it. But like for me on a Survivor, I don't care. Please, I mean, they had to tell the story. It was part of the narrative of this season. But like, God, it's
Right.
It's yeah.
Did
You're
you
right.
like
The
here that
producers lay into
Franny
it.
Foster? Did you like that Franny had to give the belt back to Carolyn after she got voted out?
She didn't have to.
She didn't have to do anything. No, she could have walked out with that just like the fake idol that Kane walked out with last week. Like
She's like, I'm taking this belt.
She probably felt she just in the moment felt obligated because, you know,
They voted together.
yeah.
Yeah. We see some things there. Franny voted out, fourth juror. Let's see her exit interview quickly.
I put my game to the test tonight and I failed. And I don't fail tests, but I feel like a stronger, more powerful woman. I beasted challenges. What? And honestly, being a jury member is like the most exciting thing. It's a front row seat for my favorite show. What more could I ask for?
Winning the show. You could ask
That's more.
that.
That's the more you could ask for. Going further than you know, whatever you are,
Eighth place
or whatever. Yeah, like Franny, I love her enthusiasm, but you know, that she's happy to be there. That's fine, but I think, you know,
just because you win challenges doesn't mean you need to be the target. You can play the game where you win a challenge or two in a row and not be the target. You know, you need to make good bonds, and you need to, like, you know, with everybody, not just one or two people, which is what she did throughout the whole show. She was like, Matt's my ride or die. Matt gets voted out. I'm with Carolyn, you know, even though Carolyn wasn't even on my tribe and I barely know her. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't build the bonds that
she wasn't good. She wasn't good at making any kind of numbers, I think, or rallying numbers at all.
No, she was.
So as a Survivor player, I don't know if I need to see Franny again. I was impressed. Like, she was better in competitions than I expected her to be, and somewhat better than she expected to be. But you know, I think that otherwise, I don't think she was that savvy of a player. I think she kind of was lucky maybe to get this far as she did in some ways. So
she's not a great social player.
Let's just quickly look ahead to next episode.
I didn't get to see this. Can you play this?
Yeah, Carolyn's pissed.
So you lied to me all day.
like-
This is all bull.
Leaving Caroline out of this boat, it backfired.
Next time on Survivor.
I've worked so hard, but it's all crumbling down.
Now, Lauren and I have all the power.
I think it's either Carson or Jam Jam. I didn't come here to take part. I came here to take over.
So, okay, I think the story of this season, and I think that like everything in the preview for this episode was like Carson having to like look in the fire. I have to betray somebody. I just have to decide who I'm going to betray. It turns out it's Carolyn, because like they basically they hosed Carolyn, told her they were going to vote out Heidi, I guess, and then they voted out Franny, and so she's pissed. And then we see Jam Jam saying, this leaving Carolyn out of this vote, it's good. It backfired, you know? And I think that this could be the undoing of Carson and Jam Jam. This could be the moment where Carolyn turns on them and then they get voted out in these next couple episodes.
Yeah, that could happen. Yeah, well, they should have played it smarter. You know, they knew that Carolyn would be mad about it, but they should have laid the news out to her
at some point and said, we're voting her out. You know, it wasn't like they were the swing vote. They had 5 votes on her, you know? Right.
Carolyn really couldn't do anything at that point. So you tell her up front, and then she's not all pissed off. She might have still been mad or upset, but she wouldn't have done like, you lied to me all day type stuff.
Yeah. Well, we see that Carson in particular was no good at confronting Carolyn. Like, he's just like, I don't know what to do, Carolyn. I don't like this last minute. Maybe, you know. I think maybe if he had been a little bit more like, no, I'm not doing it no matter what you say. I'm voting out Franny tonight. You're with me or you're not, or something.
Yeah,
You
well,
know?
and he knew it. Like you have to make a decision in your mind going into like that conversation with Carolyn, like which way you're going to go. And he chose to be deceptive and not tell her. And so you're right, that could backfire on him.
Yeah, well, Jam too, right? So yeah, Foster, any thoughts on where you see sort of this going next?
As long as Carolyn survives, I'm happy. He seems to be very well liked, so that's good. But I think that what's going to happen is the logical thing is that if it's going towards Jam and Carson, it should go Carson because he's a bigger threat. But he does have a better social game, it seems like, than Jam. So he may be so that might go that way as well. So it's either by challenges or by votes or by social game. Sorry.
Right. And on that note, maybe a quick little update on our draft, as we had drafted all these castaways before the season started. Jane, of course, lost Franny tonight. Janny had Franny and Heidi. So now we've all at least lost one of our draft picks. In terms of who's left, Heidi still, under Jane. I have Carson. Foster, you have Carolyn, as you lost Kane last week. So, but I'm kind of pulling for Carolyn as well this season. Sean has Jam. Daryl has Danny. Jeff, you have Jamie.
Yep, I'm gonna win.
Here to win. You have maybe
do you know you're here to win?
Yeah. I have a fake idol.
Yeah, and Lauren is under Jaemeel, even though Lauren was our last pick. If you could do this, like, if we knew what we knew now, I think obviously the draft would be different. But I don't think, like, Lauren, the fact that she went last in this draft, is that surprise anybody? Like, still, or you think it was?
Yeah, no, because she's once again she has. I said it earlier on the podcast, Jeff. Like, I don't respect her game. I just don't like the fact that she's like sat out for so many challenges.
Yeah, she's just not a good social player either. Like she's just not really asserting herself. I find a lot of girls like in general get to this point in the game and they're just kind of floating. Like Jaemeel the same. She's just floating. She's not doing anything.
Just surviving day to day.
Surviving day to day, making it one more rung in the game, and not really having any agency or control over any vote ever. So how even to get to the end, which one of them might.
Yeah.
You're not getting votes.
Well, just like looking here. So what do we have left? Like we basically have, Franny's gone now. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people left. Right.
Yeah.
So 3 of the Tika has the numbers. Like Carson, Jam, and Carolyn have 3 people. The other 2 tribes only have 2. And I wouldn't say that Danny and Heidi are even together. Really, especially
they could come back and vote together, but yeah,
they could come back. But the fact that Heidi voted,
is it likely that you would need Soka and Ratu to team up? So you would need Danny, Heidi, Jamie, Lynn, Lauren to all vote together.
Would those 4 work together? I don't think so. Maybe.
But if Carolyn, Carson, Jam break up, that changes everything.
Well, I could see them like, hey, Carolyn, let's get out Carson, and she may be like, yeah, after he lied to me in that last vote, I'm totally ready to vote out Carson.
Well, she should want to vote out Carson for multiple reasons. 1, she might lose to him in the end. Right. 2, he will probably win a lot of the final challenges, so you want him out for that reason. Carolyn should want Carson out regardless, because I don't think anybody should want to sit beside Carson at the end. Anyone else, I feel like, would have a chance of winning the game. You know what I mean? Like, I just think he's the favorite to win the game right now. And then Carolyn's second place, but only because we know how much she's liked,
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think the other players, I don't think a Jamie, Lynn, or a Lauren would think that about Carolyn,
Right. Yeah, I think that they're likely to underestimate her. And I think if you get Carson out of this game in the next episode, this thing's wide open. Anybody can win.
Yeah, a Heidi could win,
Heidi could win. Lauren could win. Once you take Carson out of the mix, I think
after that Gabler guy won, I was like, okay. This new shortened season isn't about who's playing the best game anymore. It's about who's liked. The girl too who won before Gabler, that was from Canada.
No, you mean
I forget her name. But she was just like the most liked. She didn't, all of them really.
Marianne.
The last 3 winners of this shortened season weren't necessarily the best game players, but they got to the end and then they had a decent story and they talked well in the final tribal. That was the main thing. They talked well and people laughed at some of their jokes. And then people went, "Oh, okay, I like that person."
Well, I think like that's the thing is that people have to be like, okay, that person was the winner of my season, and they have to respect it on whatever level. I think is ultimately something that stayed true through all of these reality shows. And I think like Danny at the end, I think he has the hardest chance winning because I don't think that the jury's going to feel good about him winning.
See, but like if it was a 39-day season, I think Danny would win almost a shoo-in. Because I think Danny has played the best strategic game of anybody.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're right. I don't think he will get the credit in this 26-day season.
I just don't think he's liked enough or respected enough.
But they used to vote based on more about who played the best game. Now
less about personal feelings, maybe.
Now the last few seasons of the shortened season, because you don't have as much time to think about it, and you kind of have to just go like, "Oh, I did," Instead of it's less time to assess too. Like you assess a 39-day game, it's a lot easier to say it like to kind of go, oh yeah, well that person did this and did that, and that's why they're gonna get my vote. Whereas this 26-day season, it's so fast. By the time you get to the end, I would imagine it's like, oh okay, who do I vote for here? I guess I'll go with the person that kind of is funny in the final travel, had a good few points, made a couple good plays. You know what I mean? Like that's your gut will tell you more than your brain, I think, in the 26-day season.
Well, yeah, although the results seem to say otherwise, but
what do you mean?
Just because I think they're going to vote for who they like more,
That's what I mean. Like that's what their heart and their gut votes in this 26-day season. They vote for who they like more rather than who they think played the best game.
Right. Who they think is a better person, even. So
yeah.
Because Gabler winning last season,
it was like the season where Tony beat Wu, right? If that was a 26-day season, I think Wu wins.
Yeah.
Well,
I think the fact that Gabler beat Cassidy last year, even though Gabler was more of the aloof guy and Cassidy was she played a pretty good game, especially at the end, but they're like, we don't like you, so you're not getting it.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Which is kind of stupid. But it is what it is. It's that, that's how you have to
have you have to be affable to a certain extent, it seems like,
that's the change of, the 26-day season. It's really, it has changed the way I think we look at things.
Indeed. Well, on that note, guys, I think we'll probably sign off for tonight. Any final thoughts, Foster?
Nope. We're getting close to the end, though. How many more episodes we got, Dave?
2 episodes.
Wow.
So the next week and then the finale after that. So we're getting into the end game. I hope, I'm tired of 3 people at the end, but it doesn't seem like they're going to change this format. So I'm sure that's what we'll get. But I would love if they went back to just 2 people at the end instead of 3. I think that's the way it should be. But they always have a third person who gets no votes. So I don't know. And then we have a fire making challenge now, which I also think. I kind of like it was fun at first, but I'm kind of over it now. So that's what we have.
I wish they would. I wish they would go to final 2 and just be done with it.
Yeah,
do the fire making, but make it final 2. Whoever wins final immunity,
between 2 and 3, right?
Yes, whoever wins final immunity gets it in the final 2, and then you do a fire making to get into the final 2.
Yeah, that would be better. I would agree with that. Okay, well, guys, if you didn't know, right now we're covering also Big Brother Canada 11, the whole season on this channel. Jaemeel was on solo last night. He went on for about 45 minutes by himself, talking about the week 9 nominations. There was also a recap of the double eviction, and we'll be on tomorrow talking about the week 9 eviction. I'll be here with Foster and Jaemeel tomorrow night. So if you're watching that season, check it out. Or if you're just getting caught up, check out our hot takes and all that kind of stuff. Plus, we're doing Marvel recaps here on this channel. We call it the Mary Mater Marvel Society. Dave and Davan and Jaemeel, and we're going to be on Sunday night to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So we hope you'll be around for that podcast, assuming you're going to see the movie. I want to hear our take on it. We're part of a united federation of podcasts. The Super Mater Brothers are the channel. We are an affiliate of many other great podcast channels. Something for everybody. Jaemeel Robinson tonight, he's not with us. He was on Hold Up, a movie podcast, which is with Davan and Murphy every Wednesday, where they talk about 3 movies in a theme. This movie theme was heists, so they were talking about 3 heist movies, breaking all that down. It's quite the experience. I've been on that show a few times, and it's always interesting to look at 3 movies through that particular lens. The Davan is also got the X-rated podcast, X-Men the Animated Review Show. He does with Andre every Tuesday. Andre also has his own podcast called Graphic Histories Podcast, an audio podcast where he does interviews with people in film and comic books and things like that. The Hellbound podcast comes out Wednesdays with Alex Blackburn, Michael Chan. That's a horror themed podcast, whether it be horror festivals or horror movies or different role plays and different things like that. Check that one out. Trivial Debates, a monthly show. We argue about movie, TV, sports, and more. Live Long in Podcast, a Star Trek themed channel, which comes out, all kinds of different Star Trek shows, like whether we're covering Enterprise or Deep Space Nine or Picard, or we sometimes do Star Trek radio theaters and all kinds of different activities. If you like Star Trek, check out our Star Trek channel, Live Long in Podcast. And lastly, Eamon Mater's got the new show, Eamon on Track, his own channel, my son, where he interviews people. They listen to an album and then they talk about the album, from start to finish, all the tracks. So already 4 episodes out there. Look for new episodes of Eamon on Track in the near future. Okay, and with that noted, guys, we will see you next time here. Thanks for being with us. Thanks to Foster and Jeff, and regrets from Jaemeel. We'll catch up with him tomorrow night on the Big Brother Canada one. And on that note, let's go out ahead and hear on Carolyn's little thing, and we'll see you guys next time.
Something's not right. People are scared. Franny wins all the immunities. I'm not voting Franny this vote. And they know that probably and are leaving me out.